What if I told you that the reason you feel small isn't because you lack strength, but because you were trained to fear your own, that since the beginning you were groomed not for greatness but for compliance? Taught not how to win, but how to obey. They didn't want you powerful, they wanted you pleasant, and every time you bit your tongue, smiled when you wanted to roar, forgave when you wanted vengeance. You weren't being noble. You were being neutralized, controlled, filed down until you were no longer a threat, just another obedient whisper in a world that belongs to those who scream. This world doesn't belong to the kind. It doesn't bow to the patient. It never has. It belongs to those who carve their name into the flesh of time, not by waiting, but by taking. You think goodness wins? Look around. Look at the thrones of history. They aren't built by gentle hands. They're forged in fire, blood, strategy. The ones who were kind, they died with apologies on their lips. The ones who dared to defy the script, they rewrote it. This isn't a call for harmony. This isn't a guide for those looking to be liked. This is a reckoning for the ones who are done playing by rules they never agreed to. If you want peace, walk away now. But if there's a part of you that's done hiding, a part that craves control more than comfort, then listen closely, because everything they warned you against becoming is exactly what you must become. You were told to be humble, but humility was just the leash. You were told to forgive, but forgiveness was the muzzle. You were taught to believe that morality was virtue, but it was camouflage, designed to make you safe to the very people who would use you. The world teaches the lamb to be gentle, while the wolf learns to hunt. They said wait your turn, but turns are myths invented by those already seated. The truth is this: no one gives power, it is seized. It is taken, and those who hesitate to take it are crushed by those who never ask. The ones who wait for justice die with clean hands and empty graves. The ones who believe in fairness are buried under the weight of those who don't. There is no fairness, only force, only leverage, only the understanding that in this world you don't rise by being good. You rise by being unforgettable. Being good is expected. Being powerful is punished. Unless you're willing to pay the price, unless you're willing to be hated. You think hate is failure. Hate is the tax of power. If they're not cursing your name, you're not doing anything worth remembering. The moment you step out of line, the moment you stop playing nice, they'll label you cruel, call you dangerous. That's how you know you're on the right path, because obedience never changed the world. Disobedience did, ruthlessness did. You were not born to kneel, you were born to conquer. There is a voice inside you that doesn't whisper, it growls. It doesn't beg, it commands, and you've been taught to ignore it. To fear it, to lock it away. But that voice, that darkness, it's not your enemy, it's your edge. The part of you that doesn't care about applause, doesn't care about validation. The part that knows you weren't made to be liked. You were made to be legendary, and legends are never polite. Control isn't about yelling the loudest. It's about saying the least and being heard the most. It's about walking into a room and commanding silence without speaking. Presence, not pleasantry. Power isn't noise, it's weight, gravity. It's the pause people feel when you look at them. It's the tension they can't explain when you stand still and they start shifting. That's control. That's real fear, and that's what makes people obey, not out of respect, but survival. They call it manipulation, but it's precision. It's seeing people for what they are, not what they pretend to be. It's knowing that loyalty is just a currency that depreciates over time. That everyone's faithful until the tide turns. That trust is a weapon best held by the one who needs it least. And you must hold nothing loosely. You must be the storm they never predict, the silence they fear more than the scream. If you want to lead, stop trying to be understood. Stop explaining yourself. Every word you give is a tool for someone to use against you. Keep them guessing, keep them doubting, confuse them until they're begging for clarity, and then deny it. People fear what they can't define, and in that fear you rule. You don't owe anyone comfort. You don't owe them warmth. You owe yourself a throne, and thrones aren't given to the nice. They're taken by the bold, maintained by the cold, and defended by those who understand one truth. Kindness is not a virtue when it becomes a weakness. They will tell you that you've changed, that you've lost your way. That power corrupted you. Let them. That's the cry of the comfortable, the weak, the ones who wanted you to stay small because it made them feel safe. They loved your softness because it meant you would never surpass them. But you've outgrown that cage, and now they call you dangerous because they finally recognize the thing you buried for so long. You were never meant to follow. Control begins with yourself. If you can't command your own mind, how can you command anything else? If your emotions dictate your actions, you're just another puppet on strings of impulse. But when you master silence, when you choose when to feel and when to act, then you become unshakable. You become untouchable. Your enemies won't fear your rage, they'll fear your stillness, because when someone is loud, they're still trying to prove something. But when someone is quiet, and you know they could destroy you, that's real terror. Power is subtle. It's in how you deny comfort, how you walk away from things others would kill for, how you make people earn every second of your time, your attention, your gaze, make them work for your approval like it's oxygen. Make them fear losing it more than they crave gaining it, because the ones who control your emotions will never respect you, but the ones who fear your withdrawal, they're already under your rule. You don't punish betrayal with anger. You punish it with erasure. Remove them like they were never there. Let silence be the scar. Let absence be the warning. One betrayal should cost a man not just your trust, but his sense of safety. Because when people know you'll burn the bridge without blinking, they stop lighting matches near you. You want to rule, then rule with precision, not with cruelty for its own sake, but with calculated consequence. Let every act of vengeance be a message. Let every move be a lesson. Never let emotion dilute your decisions. Emotions can be useful, but never let them be in charge. You feel, but you do not flinch. In the end, people don't remember what you stood for. They remember what you would not tolerate. They remember what lines you drew, what punishments you delivered. That's how legacy is built. Not in speeches, but in scars. Not in love, but in leverage. So don't aim to be liked. Be respected, be feared, and when they speak your name, let their tone shift. Let them lower their voices. Let them remember what happens to those who dared to test you. Legacy isn't about being remembered as good. It's about being remembered at all. Let your name outlive their praise. Let it survive in whispers, in warnings, in rules they follow without knowing who wrote them. That is the true mark of a ruler. Not applause, not fame, but permanence. Be the force they couldn't stop. Be the name they couldn't erase. Be the villain they warned their sons about. The one who never needed to be understood because he was too busy being obeyed. This is not about chaos. It's about control, about creating systems that outlive your breath, about building from the shadows, striking only when the impact echoes. You don't lead by being seen. You lead by being known, deep in the bones of those who fear the consequence of disobedience. That is power, and that is how you rule a world that only respects what it cannot break. Let them call you heartless, let them call you cruel, let them curse you, as long as they obey you. But power, true power, is not merely about dominance over others, it's about mastery over oneself. The world teaches you to suppress your desires, to quell your ambitions, to silence your inner voice. They say it's for the greater good, for harmony, for peace. But in truth, it's to keep you docile, to ensure you never realize the extent of your potential. They fear what you could become if you ever broke free from their chains. Imagine a world where you no longer seek approval, where your actions aren't dictated by the expectations of others. In this world, you are the architect of your destiny, the master of your fate. You don't ask for permission, you take what you know is rightfully yours. This isn't about chaos, it's about order. Your order, a world molded in your image, governed by your rules. They will call you ruthless, heartless, a villain. Let them. Their words are the cries of those who lack the courage to seize their own power. They hide behind morality, using it as a shield to protect themselves from the harsh truths of reality. But you have seen through the facade. You understand that morality is subjective, a construct designed to control. In this new paradigm, fear is your ally, not the fear that paralyzes, but the fear that awakens, the fear that drives you to act, to conquer, to dominate. It's the fire that burns within, pushing you to transcend your limitations. Embrace it, let it guide you, for in fear there is clarity, and in clarity there is power. Control is not about micromanaging every detail. It's about setting the tone, establishing the framework within which others operate. It's about creating systems that perpetuate your influence even in your absence. You don't need to be present to be felt. Your presence is embedded in the very fabric of the world you've shaped. Loyalty is a fickle thing. It's often mistaken for devotion, but in reality, it's a transaction. People are loyal as long as it's beneficial to them. The moment it ceases to serve their interests, they will turn. So, instead of seeking loyalty, create dependency. Make them need you more than they need anything else. When their survival hinges on your favor, betrayal becomes a risk they cannot afford. Silence is a powerful tool. In a world that never stops talking, silence commands attention. It creates an aura of mystery, of unpredictability. People fear what they cannot understand, what they cannot predict. Use this to your advantage. Let your silence speak volumes. Let it unsettle, unnerve, and ultimately control. Your emotions are weapons. Anger, when harnessed, becomes a force of nature. Pain, when channeled, becomes a source of strength. Do not suppress them, master them. Use them to fuel your ascent, to remind yourself of what you're fighting for. But never let them control you. You are the master, not the slave. In this journey, solitude is inevitable. The path of power is a lonely one. But solitude is not a curse, it's a crucible. It's where you refine your vision, sharpen your strategies, and solidify your resolve. Embrace it, let it fortify you, for in solitude you find clarity, and in clarity you find invincibility. Your legacy is not determined by the accolades you receive or the praises sung in your honor. It's etched in the changes you've wrought, the systems you've built, the world you've redefined. It's in the fear you instill, the respect you command, the indelible mark you leave behind. Strive not for remembrance, but for reverence. They will attempt to vilify you, to paint you as the antagonist in their narratives. But remember, history is written by those who dare to act, not by those who cower in the shadows. Let them write their stories. You will write reality. In this world, power is not given, it's taken. It's seized by those bold enough to defy convention, to challenge the status quo, to rewrite the rules. Be that person. Be the storm that reshapes the landscape, the force that redefines the possible. Do not seek to be loved, seek to be respected. Love is fleeting, conditional, often fickle. Respect, once earned through power and presence, endures. It commands, it dictates, it controls. Your journey will be fraught with challenges, with opposition, with betrayal. But each obstacle is an opportunity, each adversary a lesson. Embrace them, learn from them, use them to sharpen your edge, to refine your strategy. Remember, the world doesn't owe you understanding or acceptance. It owes you nothing, but you owe yourself everything. The realization of your potential, the fulfillment of your destiny, the manifestation of your power. So rise not as a hero, not as a savior, but as a force to be reckoned with. Let your actions speak louder than words, your presence overshadow all else. Be the embodiment of power, the personification of control, the epitome of dominance. This is your time, seize it, mold it. Command it, for in the end, it's not about being remembered, it's about being unforgettable.